How do I introduce myself? That's a difficult one, because I do so many different things. My name is Maurice Greenham, and I'm an LGBT activist and AIDS activist, but I'm also involved with a lot of things locally and have been for very many years. Because I'm now 77, so I'm an older person, and I find that one of the successful strategies of aging is being creative. I suppose I've always been creative in that way. I mean, children are naturally creative. At the moment I'm doing, adding glaze, slip glaze to some pieces that we made last week and fired. A sgraffito is the technique that Anthony seemed to have done a better job than mine. I wasn't, they didn't press hard enough. Also we did, back on the first week, which is, so it's been fired, biscuit fire that is, and this is part of a project called Cast of Thousands. It was originally thought to be done with school children, and then they decided to open it up to community groups and everybody's getting involved in it. So it's a bit like the Terracotta Army, but those are going into the biannual exhibition and they will be just like that, biscuit fired. These are ours to take home, that's why I'm glazing them. I've always been interested in music too. We had an old coloured piano in the home. I come from a poor working class family, but we did have a piano. And so I obviously graduated towards it and messed about on it. So yes, I had some very, very fond memories of childhood. I had chips on my shoulders for a very long time. I didn't have A-levels and I didn't have a first degree. Got a teacher's certificate. Cut a long story short, I had a midline crisis when I was in my 40s, early 40s. I changed careers and went into, actually got a job just across the road at the old Victoria Theatre. And it was just like coming home. You know, I just belonged there. So I was actually, you know, fulfilled a dream, as it were. And all went well until the following year, when after coming back from a holiday in America with my then boyfriend, we'd picked up a sexually transmitted disease there and gone to the clinic in Atlanta, Georgia and had penicillin shots. But he hadn't cleared up completely. So when we came back home, we went to the local gum clinic, which was just around the corner at that time. And unbeknown to either of us, we were tested for this new mysterious disease that was killing gay men in America. And it didn't even have a proper name at that time. But the results came back, and mine was positive. So, I thought that was the end of the world. And I was really angry because I loved my job. And I thought it was all coming to an end. It's one of the lucky ones. I was asymptomatic for almost 10 years. But at the end of 10 years, that's when things went really badly downhill. And it was clear that HIV had gotten into my brain. And I had a really bad episode of amnesia, and I was away with the fairies. And I don't mean in the club dancing. I meant that I didn't know quite where I was. Cut the long story short, I was hospitalised, given an AIDS diagnosis and the AIDS defining illness was HIV encephalopathy, which meant that HIV is in my brain. It's kind of dementia. And given 6 months to live. And that's when I started fighting for my life. Because it was the millennium, I got a grant to do concerts, and so I wanted to do something to give back to Staffordshire Buddies. That's when I started the Music Aid, doing concerts. And the local people here, I was just amazed at the spirit of generosity of local people, you know, just coming together and doing things. They just grew and grew and grew. And I was doing everything, the publicity, the tickets, and I was performing and I was fronting, and I just burned myself out. So I developed dementia. I didn't. Depression. Now that is a mental illness. Dementia isn't. Depression is. So I had a mental illness. The big break, I think, was in 2004. I just got a buzz out of globetrotting, and that was the year that the Lord of the Rings films came out. And my mate Scott lent me the DVDs which showed the locations. I thought, wow, I must go there, New Zealand. So I went to New Zealand, and that's when I got the opportunity to go on a midnight expedition, well, after dusk expedition, looking for Kiwis. And we heard them in the bush, but we thought, well, no, we must. And then, right at the end of the beach, underneath the Southern Star, was an adult Kiwi. Amazing. And after that, I thought, well, let's go to Big Sister, to Australia. Having lived 25 years, that's a sort of jubilee. Let's do something special. Let's do something in the way of volunteering. And that's when I went to volunteer with a Christian group in South Africa. Me being open, as always, I said, well, you know, here I am, a gay man living with HIV. And they had difficulty with that. They had great difficulty with that. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? Go home? Oh, no. They said, no, we'll pray. I said, all right, you pray, I'll stay. And I got on fantastically with the kids. Whatever the group was going to be about, it had to be about combating isolation and loneliness. I mean, it's an awful lot because I founded it in 2009.
What was it that brought you to the group?
Maurice. Maurice invited me along and my friend Paul.
I knew about Maurice and I met him, I think, at the first. I went with a friend who since dropped out. He drops out of everything he goes to.
Just come back into the area because I lived in Kent for 20 odd years. Lost my partner who died and come back out, back to Stoke. Was born here to look after my mum and dad. So I looked it up online, found it and rung Maurice and said, come up.
It's a feeling of family. I haven't any family in the area, so it's a feeling of family, much as anything.
I feel more confident now than I've ever done in my life. And I just do what I can. And I love it. And it keeps me alive. And it keeps me, you know, when I say alive, I mean really sort of wanting to be alive and being part of things.
Nice one.
I'm sorry to do this, but thinner.
Yeah. I haven't finished yet.
And doctors, they wear the same coats and they think they're above it all. And
Yeah.
And one of the things we
Don't film that, Keele, the uni.
How are you getting on with it, Harry?
All right.
Good.
And the thing was that I lost my train of thought now.